Hey, Juicy here from Cricket Strength, the home of making you the fittest, the quickest, and the most robust bowler you can possibly be. We're down here today to show you a session that we put on with one of our one-to-one guys so you can see behind the scenes of what we actually do. Let's roll. We're going to look at three separate areas with our bowler to see exactly where they are physically. We're going to look at movement, strength, and power output. We're going to use these tools, Output Sports and the muscle meter, to do it so we've got really accurate results. Then we know what they need to do to improve.
So if you have a situation where passively range is 20 degrees, let's just say, but then actively, if I get involved and I crank another 10 degrees out of it, then we know it could be more of a mobility restriction or a tissue extensibility problem. We have to work out, well, do you respond better to dosing you with stability, or do we actually need to start pulling on tissues? That's the best I've noticed your hips, because you've been in the car, what, for 2 hours, 2.5?
Hour 30, not too bad.
Okay, yeah, because I'm not seeing anything there through range of motion. Maybe slightly better on the right side than left, but never like, I've seen you before where the hips are like,
Just
don't move. It's like, Jesus Christ. It'd be interesting to see where your rib cage is at the minute as well, just to get an idea.
My thoracic rotation, it was a bit like one-sided. I could open up loads that side, but before I was probably like 60, 70 degrees both sides, but then I got to like 90 this side and like 75 this side.
Yeah. Well, like in any sort of throwing activity, they call it the X factor in golf. It's the difference between the pelvis and the rib cage.
Yeah.
So when you land on back foot contact, if you can start to pivot through the pelvis, moving that there while keeping the shoulder back. The X factor is like, what's that degree? You know, the golfers like Rory McIlroy, who's got the biggest kind of deficit between hips and shoulders. He's like 110 shoulder turn and the pelvis can hold at 45. So of course the guy bombs it at 5'8", further than anybody else on the PGA Tour consistently. Yeah. In every single sport this happens. And this is why I find it really kind of shocking at times when it comes to cricket. And do you remember with you, we did that drill a while ago where I asked you just to cross your arms in front and see if you could move your pelvis in isolation. For a lot of people, that's impossible.
Yeah, because it just moves as one rather than...
Yeah, exactly. It literally moves as one all the time. And that for me is the biggest, like for you now coming with us for a year, the more that we work on your sequencing now, but more importantly, maintain the ability to sequence really effectively, that's not only how you stay safe, that's how we start bowling 84, 85.
On your front, one arm out in front, straight down on top. You ready? Press as hard as you can. Go. Press, press, press. Yeah. Press. 2, 1, and relax. That right arm's gone up a lot. So you hit 20.8 there. I think that's the most we've had in any bowler. Really? So we know the power's there in the shoulder. So front foot contact position. Ready? Go. Press, 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 press. 3, 2, 1, and relax. And left hand. And go. Press. 3, 2, 1, and relax. Good lad. I mean, everything at the moment is going up, which is great. End of the season, normally everyone drops off a little bit. So it shows us, you know, you've been nailing the program. Okay, ready? So the first initiation, push through the floor. As soon as you're ready, pull up as hard as you can. Off you go. Press and pull. Good, 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 good. Come on. 3, 2, 1, and relax.
Look at the position of the shoulder. We've got a hand set with you. It's sitting there. So you know, like the last part of the slingshot we're talking about is the ability to really. The brain is only going to let you have the last part of force if the scapula is stable on the rib cage and it's safe. Biggest thing with when they talk about arm path when they coach, when somebody gets into this position, how many times do they talk about the arms going out?
Yeah, so I used to do that.
Well, if you live there and your arm's there, it ain't going straight back, is it? Because it's going to get in the way. So it's got to go that. So how many times do coaches go, I've got to get that working more there? Well, perhaps if you start here, and then you can get there because you're in a better position with it. So it's all these little technical things that everybody's trying to coach out of the system. To me, they're all mechanical.
Often players come to us because their coaches have been trying to get them into positions they just cannot get into. So they say, why don't you just do this? Why don't you just do that? If they could, they would. They physically can't do it. So that's why we need to understand from the testing what's going on with the body, and then we know where to go. Okay, when you're ready, pull. 3, 2, 1, and relax. Good lad. Pull. 3, 2, 1, and relax. So there we go. First time we did it, November. So left side, you're just a bit more than that now, but it dropped off in the season, now it's come back. That right side has kept going up. Sorry, left side. So your left side here is the one where you come into, well, boulders come into lateral flexion. That has come up and up. So now that one is superior to your right side. And that's what we want, the ability. Obviously we know it's more mechanical, but if we have the ability and the strength in that side to help with the mechanics, happy days. And that's where you are now. This one's going to be very delicate. So next up, we're going to have him bowling. Obviously the crucial thing is understanding how he bowls. So we're going to do 6 balls, look at his pace, look at it from the back, look from the side, look at his run up, and then what we do is put together the testing that we've done to show him why he bowls like he does, because that's what we do. We look at the body drives the action. So if the coach wants him to do something in his action, but he can't actually physically do it, there's a big clue there. So that's what we're going to do now. Put the two together, then we're going to review both things so he knows where he is, and then we know exactly what we need to do to program for him so that he's got the best chance of having the best action, the quickest action, the most consistent, and obviously stay away from injury. Finish the testing. Now we want to see where you sit. So the 3 areas that we want to see with your movement competency really, your ankles, your hips, and your thoracic. So looking at the ankles, from the first time we did them, they've gone slightly up, which is great. We've got good movement. They're not so up that they're lax, okay? But we know we've got plenty of range at the ankle, so that's not an issue. That's a big tick, okay? So anytime we're thinking of anything around back foot contact, and someone's not got a great range, we know that could be one possible reason why that back foot contact's not great. Then we go into the hips. We still know we've got something to work on here. Something's happening in the body which just isn't allowing us the range that we'd really like. So we know there's some work to do over the winter on making sure we get that hip. And if we actually look at the bowling from the back here, and we look at what we're saying with that back foot contact, we know still we could be getting that hip through just a touch more. So we know if we give you that little bit more controlled range, that could be something which helps us out a little bit more down the line. Then the last one on the movement is the thoracic. Now the actual numbers are fine and they're all pretty symmetrical. So the things that we look for with the numbers, 1, is it a low number, and 2, is it symmetrical left to right? Because if it's a big asymmetry, then we know there's slight issues that we need to look for. With here, left 64, right 62, and then half kneeling position, right 65. So we know the range is okay, but then when we watch you doing it, like Gav was saying, it looked like it was like we were cranking you, but. So it wasn't smooth. There is the range there, but something was going on in and around there. But for movement, we'd say green for thoracic, green for ankles, amber for hips. Then we go forward and we look at the strength expression. Now for the ASH test, the shoulder test, so that's when you're just on the floor, we take out everything else and it's only your shoulder working. You hit 20.8 kilograms of force. That's the most we've had. That's fantastic. We know that shoulder's in a decent place on its own. But then we get you up from there and do the front foot contact. So now we're adding to the shoulder the rest of the body to say, right, so when the shoulder's on its own, it's doing 20. What about when we add the rest of the body? And you went up 22.5, which is fantastic. That's gone up. That's your best score yet. Again, at the end of the season, to have a lot of these scores going up shows that the program has been helping you massively with your body. Then we do our big strength force test, is the mid-thigh pull. So some people still do like a 3-rep max. I'm not really interested in that. I want to know how much force you can produce through the floor, because that's what bowling is. So normative data tells us we want around 120 to 160 times your body weight of force. You were up at 219.8% of your body weight is force, which is fantastic. You know, that's through the roof, really. And then we did the lateral flexion. Again, numbers have come up. Fantastic. It's particularly, like we said earlier, that left side, where we come into that lateral flexion and where a lot of the injuries are caused, your strength has gone up. It's now overtaken the right side. So we know we've got extra protection there. Brilliant. There's no normative data for this. We're only looking at anecdotally just to see what happens with our players. And for you to go up like that is fantastic. And then the standing calf now, the caveat with this, we in slightly different position than we do it at the gym. We haven't got the positional aspect. You're facing forward a little bit. Still scored good numbers. Right leg 133, left 119. So that right leg, which we want to be slightly stronger in that position and be able to produce more force because of back foot contact, but probably just too much asymmetry. So then we go into more force production. First one, counter movement jump. Now for this one, I'm not the biggest fan of this test. I don't think it's great because what we're asking the muscles to do in this test is completely different to bowling. So it doesn't really transition. The reason we still do it is because if you go into a county, they will take this number and they want around 40 centimeters for your max jump height. You got 39, so you're only 1 centimeter off. So not a big deal. But again, I'm not a massive fan of this test. What I am a fan of is the drop jump, okay? Because again, the drop jump, we're asking the body to do very similar things that we are in bowling, quick ground contact time, the co-contraction to happen, and to power off out of it. So for your double leg, you're decent, okay? RSI number is 1.45. We want between 1.2 to 1.6. So we're at the higher end of that. Ground contact time, I always like to be around 0.25 or less. You're just around that, which is great. Jump height of 36. That could probably come up a little bit more, but overall, for double leg RSI, we're right really where you want to be, and we could always go up. Then we go into the single leg. Before you knew your results, and you were like, left leg, oh, this isn't gonna be as good. Your left leg was slightly better than your right.
Really?
Which is why we had the chat then. Because I was like, that's interesting you saying it, because you didn't feel great, but you actually scored better. And then we go from there into some upper body power. Overall peak velocity with that 5K Mediball slam, I want to be seeing, so for the guys we've had in, the international bowlers, have been around 9.5 meters per second. So your peak one was 8.12. So again, we need to be getting that upper body power up a little bit. Now, we know you've got the strength in there. We know that from the ASH test. And we know that from the other strength output tests. It's getting it out of you.
I think that one will be a key test.
Yeah.
Because I think what we've talked about, the position of, see, the brain's only going to allow you to have more power if we're safe. And the last segment of the sequence is the shoulder and the relationship between the scapula and the rib cage. So I think by working on this structurally and watching that number go up, I think that number will directly correlate with the speed gun. Yeah. I think it will, as long as everything else is maintaining, because everything else we've looked at is nothing huge there. Yeah. But this is all going to be about changing this. Yes.
Then, last one we did, half knee and bowling. So the two things that we look at here, we look at your arm speed and we look at the ball speed, two different things. So we can see, is there any correlation? What exactly is going on with the body whilst you're trying to do these things? So peak velocity you hit 14.49, which is great. Again, what we want to see, we've seen with the pro bowlers, their arm speed, 15.5 meters per second. So we're pretty much, we're near that. We're very close to it. With the speeds, you were much quicker with the lighter ball, and that seems where you were happier, okay? Your best peak velocity was with the light ball, your best speeds with the light ball. We went 53, 55, 55, and then we dropped off to 50 with the red ball, okay? So suddenly there was a drop off, and you went from 14.49 to 13.68 meters per second, then down to 11.61 meters per second. But then with the heavy ball, you went back up a little bit, okay? But the speeds went down. So the speeds consistently went down. So light ball, quickest, then it was normal ball, then it was heavy ball. The 300 gram ball, you didn't like it. But exactly like Gav said, we've seen you can produce force. We've seen it's there. This is like the hose pipe where someone keeps turning it on at that end, but it's only trickling out a bit at that end. What's in the middle? What's stopping it? Because it's there, the water's flowing fine, we need to now untangle it so we get the most out. So that water that's coming out there comes out the end of the hose just as quick. And once we get that right, we'll see those bowling speed numbers go up. So if we look at the action, what are we seeing? We're seeing a little bit of that heavy back foot contact. So that initial landing just slightly in front, and that is going into causing that back foot then to almost act like a brake instead of being on the ball of the foot to be able to push off. And this is why this is so important, because the normal off-season routine is you finish the season, so everyone said, right, you need a rest, and then you're gonna do a strength phase, then you're gonna do a hypertrophy phase, then you're gonna do a power phase. No, we need to know what you need. We know you've got strength. The last thing you need is more strength. You like nailed the test. We need to make sure we can get the power that's in there out, exactly like Gav said there. So the key metric for you is going to be that the more power testing, the drop jump numbers, the RSI single leg numbers, and the power output with the weighted balls and with the Medi ball. Then we'll see transition, because looking technically at you, obviously everything looks pretty decent. Really good bowling arm delay, hip squaring up. That's a coach's dream almost there. Maybe this not quite along a stride, but everything is looking pretty good. So now it's about unlocking it, getting you mid-80s, because we know you pepper top of off. You're a good bowler. We just need to help the body out a little bit more, and you'll be absolutely flying, bud.